Yes, now people, it is that time of year again. It is currently July, but we are currently getting ready for the next season of FPL. I'm going to walk you through a couple of teams, some with and without Salah, either or. Some will have both. Some of them do have none of them. It's obviously one of the big questions this year with Erling Haaland being put up as 15 million, the highest anyone has ever been, which is, it's crazy. It's going to be absolutely nuts this year. Personally, at the end of the day, I think it'll be absolutely mad to not have Haaland in your squad just based on what he does. He can have 7 touches but end up having 6 goals in the game. It's just crazy. With Pep, there was rumours he was leaving, and there was rumours that De Bruyne was again going to be leaving to Saudi. Neither or is happening. De Bruyne has had a nice long old summer, being a month and a half. So hopefully they'll be injury free for City fans, which means balls into Haaland, and that play is just going to continue. England getting to the final, you didn't see out in the Phil Foden or anything like that, so I feel like he'll come back with a point to prove this season. So what I'm going to do is going to show you this team. This one doesn't have the De Bruyne or the Haaland, but it does have a Foden. I feel like Foden's just going to smash it this year, realistically. The only way he can go now is up. So this is the first team. I'll walk you through it slowly but surely. So I'll click here into transfers. I will just go through it. So this one does leave us with a 0.5 million in the budget. Realistically, for the first week, you don't really want to be having anything. I don't think there's no point in you saving 0.5 in the first one, especially with the new rule changes. That you can have up to 5 transfers free stored. So look, realistically, this is just a simple little one, but it has some high enough name players that, you know, I feel like this could be a team you could pick for the first week, not touch your FPL, and you'll still come out with a decent amount of points. So let's walk through this a little bit. In goal, we've gone with a 4.5 million goalkeeper in Flecken for Brentford, and then we've gone for Jordan Pickford with Everton for 5 million. Why have I done this? Flecken, look, 4.5 goalkeepers. Every year you always want to keep them cheap, but Flecken for Brentford, loads of saves last year. Brentford, bit of a point to prove, didn't have a great season, didn't have the worst season. They picked up form when the players came back from AFCON, but defensively, goalkeeper got save points almost every week throughout the season. So for 4.5, it could be someone you can swap in and out with another goalkeeper, even if you were to go with Alisson or Edison, which you'd be crazy to based on price, and you're better off getting the outfield players for the teams. But it's always good to have one cheap one that still is the first goalkeeper, so you can swap in and swap out. Or what I could do is port the 0.5 into this, make another 5 million goalkeeper. But again, there's no real need. You want them as cheap as you can, but you also do want to be able to swap the two. So Flecken's first couple of games for this season. Starting off with Crystal Palace, easy enough, handy enough. It's a home game as well, so it shouldn't actually be too bad for them. You'd expect nothing crazy in this transfer window with Palace so far anyway. So you'd expect a low scoring game, if any score. So clean sheet possibly, and then the saves. Liverpool game week 2, there's no way in hell you'd have them in your starting team. Southampton you could have, so there's your rotation if you need it, depending on the other goalkeeper you have. You skip them for 2 weeks with City and Spurs. And you could bring him back in for West Ham, then Wolves, take him out again for United, in for Ipswich, out for Fulham, and it's a bit of a alternating, it's an alternating choice. 119 points last year, 12 bonus points, so he was averaging 3 points a match. Not great, but look, out of all the goalkeepers, he did come 20th, and he is only 4.5 million, so he'd be a decent little one to have just for rotations. So, I'm going to jump in then to Jordan Pickford. Now, why did I pick Jordan Pickford? He was the best goalkeeper last year for points. 153 million, 22 bonus points, and up there, average 4.0 points per match. So, he is the 8th most expensive, with some of them being 5 million as well. So, the other ones being 5.5, with Alisson and stuff being that. But again, rotations and fixtures. Brighton, now these two, Flecken and Pickford, I don't really get the alternation with these two particular goalkeepers, but it's just to show the 4.5 million goalkeeper and the 5.0 or 5.5, whatever you're going to go with, will be able to alternate. So Flecken, you could play him in the first week. You could go for Pickford. You couldn't really play either or, with Spurs and Liverpool being the two teams being played. But for Pickford, it is quite an easy start. So we have Bournemouth at home, Leicester away, who've just been re-promoted early enough in the season. It's the end of September. It's the 5th game week. So there is a chance you still get them. I know it is away, which isn't exactly ideal, but look, it is what it is. Palace, Newcastle could be tough depending on how they do transfer season wise, and with some of the club owners wanting to buy out and sell. Ipswich, newly promoted, early enough. It's only the mid to end of October. But even if you're looking at the match difficulty, they have a terrible end to the season, so the last 7-8 weeks. But for the rest of the season, they only have a 4-week tough patch, which is all in December. Until December, so end of September till the start of December is a really good one for Pickford. He's going to make the saves. He's going to get some bonus points. And it's Jordan Pickford, he had a decent enough Euros for himself. Obviously didn't win anything. But look, it's you'd be mad, I think, not to have him. I know he is 5 million and you can go for cheaper at 4.5. But look, it's a decent one to have, even just for rotations. We're going to look into the defenders here then now. Looking straight down, these are the 5 I have currently in the squad. Braithwaite. Why have I gone with him? 124 points. He is only 5 million. He averaged 3.5 points per match. There was rumours that United were after him. There was rumours that some of the big clubs were going after him. So far, you haven't actually heard or seen anything whatsoever. There's been no Fabrizio Romano post or nothing whatsoever about any interest or anything. But again, for 5 million, for a defender who did as well as he did that season last year, you'd be kind of mad to either completely ignore him or not to even have him in the team. 10 bonus points, he had a great end to the season. If we look here, he had 3 goals, 1 assist, so not exactly an attacking defender. 12 clean sheets, and they did concede 44 goals. So they conceded a goal every 49 minutes, so to have a 12 clean sheet for him was actually fairly good. Now, is he a player that you're looking... He's not an FPL player, but he is a decent footballer player, probably. Quite possibly. But the way Everton finished the season with Sean Dyche was phenomenal. And you know it's Sean Dyche. Defensively, they're going to be fairly sound. So that's why either Pickford and possibly a second defender for Everton will be a shout. Exact same fixtures as Pickford, obviously. But 5 million could be a very decent, especially if he was to get picked up by another team. Next, I'm moving into Trent. Now, Trent for 7 million, what do I think of that? Well, interesting, to be honest with you. How do we see Salah lining up with his Liverpool squad? We'll have to wait and see what he does pre-season. But 7 million for a defender is a bit mad. I can't even lie. There's new points come into the game this year for attacking returns and offensive returns. So I've seen a lot of people saying you're probably better off just having a really, really cheap defence that'll get the points for you and then putting the money into the attackers, because Trent can score, he can assist, but if he concedes a goal, he will lose most of his points, which is a pain in the ass. Last season wasn't exactly fantastic for him. Injured parts of the season. 122 points, not the best at all. 3 goals, 5 assists. 8 clean sheets isn't exactly ideal either, and it doesn't look like there's any more defensive players coming in for the start of the season anyway for Liverpool. Fixture wise, it's not bad. It really isn't. Again, Liverpool play another newly promoted squad, Ipswich, and it's away. So you'd like to think, even though it's not in Anfield first game of the season, you would like to think they could still do a job, but you never know. It really depends on how Slot wants to line up. Typically he was a 3 at the back man with maybe 4 in midfield, with 2 of them being wing backs, but I don't know. I don't see him doing that, especially with the players he currently has at Liverpool. Do I think Trent will be a midfielder? Not a chance. There's no way he will end up doing that. I think he'll keep him at right back, do what he knows, but then only look. I'm only a fan of the sport, I couldn't tell you. First 8 games, nice, can't really complain. United away, 3rd week, 1st of September. tough. 100% will be tough, especially after how they lost to them in the final latter stage of the tournaments last year. Fixture wise, for the first 10 weeks, realistically, you can't complain. Up even to the 12 weeks. Played two of the big teams. Arsenal in October, United in the third week, but then they do come up against City, into Newcastle, Everton, Fulham, and then into Spurs. But look, 7 million. I've seen the training of Trent in pre-season, especially after the Euros. He's put on a bit of size, a bit of mass. He looks like he's in shape. But is he too big to stay fit as a footballer? We will see, but he does look big. He does look fairly decent. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. I think he is a must in your teams this year. He finished the season off so well last year, scoring 2 or 3 goals, a few assists even. 6 million isn't exactly bad considering he is an attacking player. He's in the position to score goals, the long rangers, the stuff from the corners. He is a player you really should have. At 6 million really isn't terrible for him. 5.5 would have been really, really good, obviously, but like everyone would have them. So look, if you can work him in for the 6 million, I think you really, really have to. Wasn't exactly a fantastic City season last year, but I think this season they'll be back. They'll be back on form. They'll be back doing what they do best, is just winning every fucking game, pissing everyone off. So 4.4 games per match, 123 points, 12 bonus points. If you look at that fixtures, Chelsea first game, I have also just seen that they lost to, I believe it was Celtic. Look, it's a pre-season and I get all that, but to lose 4-1 is absolutely terrible. They then play Ipswich, West Ham, Brentford, and then they have 2 tough enough games, but that's a very nice. Chelsea is either going to be good or it's going to be an average game for City. So it could be a good 4 weeks. It could be a decent first week, good next 3 weeks. Even if you were to bench them for game week 5 and 6, you still have the next 6 weeks will be fairly good. Then they have Liverpool in Anfield. But again, it's about the rotation of them. I think Guardiola will be one of the highly selected players this season. For 6 million, it's a lot for a defender, and I get it, but I think he'll be fairly high picked. Next, I move on to Dalot. Hit and miss every single season, and he really, really is. Why have I got Dalot? I've seen posts that there's a chance Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaves United. There's interest from other clubs. That gives Dalot the right back entirely. Luke Shaw will be fit, so it'll strengthen the United defence at left back anyway. And then Dalot right back, which allows him to be the attacking fullback that he does play sometimes. You saw him at the Euros. He wasn't at his best by any means, but look, he attacked, he played. He didn't make too many fuck-ups, just a few stray passes and stuff, but look, it is what it is. 111 points, 13 bonus points, and again, fixtures. Nice little start. 2 easy enough games, first 2. Obviously play Liverpool home. 3 games, Southampton, Palace, and then Spurs. Spurs will be tough enough as per. Aston Villa, I think they will be good this season, so I do think they will actually struggle with that game a bit. But then they have the next 6 weeks. Nice fixtures. For 5 million, if they were to keep the clean sheets, they have signed a new centre back, young man, 18. If he stays fit, if Martinez can stay fit, I think United defence, especially at the start of the season, if they start strong, will be very, very good. Martinez, the new guy, even if they do slap who they have, ideally not Harry Maguire for them, but look, there's a chance they have a very decent defensive season. Next, I'm looking at Pedro Porro. Now, he had a great season this season. There's no denying it for himself. He had 3 goals, 8 assists, started in 35 matches. Only the 3 yellow cards, no red cards for a defender. That's really not bad. Only 3 yellow, you'll take that every day of the week. He had a great season, especially the start of the season anyway, last year up until about December, January. Do I think he'll be very highly selected this year? No. At the moment he is. 1 in 4 people have him. I think that'll drop off. I really, really do. 5.5, I think if he was at 5 million, it'll be worth it. I think I'd like to see Spurs sign either another defender or another CDM at least to bring a bit more structure to the defence. First 2 fixtures anyway. Leicester, Great fixture to have, newly promoted. They do have a point to prove though. So look, only time will tell. Everton then, again, I've said it, I think they'll be defensively fairly sound. But then they move into 2 tough ones with Newcastle, Arsenal. Then they have the next 7 weeks, really isn't bad, with Brentford, United, but that's the end of September. So it's 6 weeks in, you'll know by then if they're going to have a good season or an average season. Into Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Villa and Ipswich, which again, look, good run of form, good run of fixtures. Into City, which obviously would be a pain in the ass, but then again they're into 2 decent ones, into Chelsea, into Southampton, into Liverpool. So if you can get the rotation stuff right, I can see why he will be so heavily selected. Will he be as good as he was last season? I don't believe so. I think something will have to give. And started off really quick. So you saw Spurs were top of the table for probably a month and a half, 2 months. And then they fell off. They really fell off. So I think it's all about how they start. 5.5 million. The price is there. The type of player is there. But I just do not think Pedro Porro will do what he did last season this season. But we'll have a look at these midfielders now anyway, and we'll see what we have. We have in the team at the moment Odegaard, Jota, Doku, Foden and Garnacho. So, Odegaard, why have I done this? Without a shadow of a doubt, Arsenal had a cracking season last year. They obviously lost the league, but they had a cracking season. Odegaard, he pulled the strings, he did what he needed to do. Did he contribute enough goals and assists wise? Probably not. 8 goals, 11 assists. Look, it's 19 goal involvement in 35 starts. But if you're being that calm, that the supplier, the ball bearer, you do need to be up in the 20s. Having said that, look, he's one off 20, but he just does need to be doing more. If you look at Phil Foden, look at the Cole Palmer, those attacking players that show up and do the stuff, they come away with all the goal contributions, and they are realistically the reason why the teams win. Was he helped with the players he had? No. Was Havertz as good? No. He picked up near the end of the season, but he really wasn't what people were expecting. Jesus will be fit. Is he going to be a player that they need? Probably not, in my opinion. Martinelli had a quiet season. Saka had a decent little season. Declan Rice came in. Personally, I think he had an okay season. Wasn't as good as the price tag carried. But fixture-wise for Martin Odegaard, it's shit. It really is. Wolves first, Villa, tough enough, Brighton. But then they got 2 tough games done. Into 3 nice weeks, 3 hard weeks. And then you're looking at November. The end of November, straight through to February. So you're going to have 2 months. And they're going to play, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 games of a nice bunch of fixtures from them. Spurs and Villa obviously being in there. Ipswich will be fine. Palace will be fine. Everton, they'll be defensive, but they'll be fine. United. But that's 12 games. That's actually fairly decent, especially for Arsenal. In 2 months. So, and then if you're looking, they've got City. And then they're into another 9 weeks, it looks like, into Liverpool. So maybe he's not a player you start off with. That maybe it is week 12 you bring him in. But if you have to keep an eye on these fixtures, especially for the Arsenal boys, the fixtures, week 12 onwards, you're going to need to have at least one midfielder, at least one from Arsenal. But for 8.5 million from Odegaard, if he was 8, again, it'd be very much worth it in my opinion. 5 points per match on average, 26 bonus points, 186 points. He is only selected by 16.9% of the people. So for you to have him and him to do well, you're happy. But for you to have him and not to do well, especially with this price tag, you're really starting the season off poor. It's just something to think about. Like if you were to change him to Saka, let me just grab him up here, for 10 million, so you're $1.5 million off, but you've also almost got double the points, and he's on penalties. So if you can try work it around, maybe drop down the goalkeeper for another 0.5 with this team, will give you the $1 million, so you're only 0.5 off. And all that is swapping a Pedro Porro out for maybe someone that's 5 million. So it is very doable, swapping Odegaard for the Saka. But look, only time will tell with that. Only time will tell. Next one I'm looking at now is Diogo Jota, who I think would have probably been one of the players of the season last season if he did not get injured. 10 10 goals, 7 assists, only started 14 games. And I think from the 14, from before he got injured, I think he was almost a goal contribution a game, which was really good. Obviously, the injury destroyed him, destroyed his season. But I think if he can start quick, if he gets starts from slot, he will be absolutely phenomenal. Priced at 7.5 million, 1 whole million less than Odegaard, for a player that I think can contribute more to goals. Maybe not to the whole game. Odegaard will pick the passes. He can dictate the play, the speed of the play, what the aim of the attack and stuff is. Whereas Jota is a finisher. He beats the taller defenders to headers. His finishing is fairly good. So I do think this man, if he's going to get the time, if he gets fit, stays fit, is going to be a cracking player this season. Again, same as Trent, same fixtures, a decent first 7, first 8, maybe excluding the 2 of City and United. But look, if he gets the game time, which he could, if Nunes doesn't perform, he is out, Jota is in. It could also be if Diaz doesn't perform, he is in. If Salah gets dropped, he is in. Does he go in above Gakpo? I think he does. So that front 4, Jota can play left wing, striker. He can go onto the right. You can also drop him into that false 9 if needs be. So he's versatile. He will get the game time. He'll be coming on as a sub guaranteed if they need the goal anyway, if he doesn't start. So I think for 7.5 million, he's cracked on. But again, it might take a week or 2 to see what the starting lineup is going to look like for Sloth. If he's going to be a nailed-on starter, he's a must-have. He is only owned by 3.1. So if he's going to be a nailed-on starter and you have him in your 3.1 and he performs, you're living, you're laughing, and you're loving. Next one we're looking at, if you want to play with the Pep Roulette, is Doku. You didn't see much of Jack Grealish whatsoever last season. You saw a bit of Doku. When he gets going, he gets going. Finished at 98 points. He started 18 games. 98 points from 18 starts is not great. But then you look at the stats. 3 goals, the 10 assists. Him as a player, I feel he doesn't have to be great when he has the Phil Foden who can finesse the shots, take the free kicks. When you have the Haaland that you just have to whip a ball into the box and 9 times out of 10 he's putting some part of his body onto it. 6.5 million, I think if you can beat the Pep Roulette and he starts over Bernardo Silva and he starts over Jack Grealish, you are going to get points off this man. When he goes beating defenders, when he draws fouls, when he gets the assist, he's going to rack up points this season. He came in, normally Pep would leave you out of the team for, I want to say 8 months of a season, 9 months of a season, maybe even the whole season, which is the 9 months. He came in, he played 18 games, he started 18 games for them. Does it help that Grealish probably wasn't performing, whatever? Yeah, 100%. That means he's played 18 games. He's there a season now, so why doesn't he start? I don't see why he doesn't start. I'm sure De Bruyne, he's going to get leggy. Bernardo Silva will start some games. They'll be bringing De Bruyne on, so that left wing position will be open, and I think 6.5 million Doku is a possibility. Looking at his teammate, Master Phil Foden, I feel like he is just a nailed on in most people's teams. 9.5 million, expensive. Yes. Worth it? I do think so. 6.6 average points per game, which is just phenomenal. 230 points with 31 bonus points, and he's selected by almost 1 in 3 people will have him in the squad. You're going to look, he has 19 goals, 8 assists. He's improving every single season, and he is still only, 24? I'm pretty sure he's 24, if even, 23, which is just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Fixture-wise is the exact same as Jeremy Doku. Tough enough first game, possibly with Chelsea. Good first next 3. 2 tough, and then they have the next 6 easy enough games. And look, if City hit the ground running, they hit the ground running. Phil Foden, I feel, is really going to be a must-have. A must-have, especially if you're not going to run with the Haaland. So look, only time will tell. I'm sure this number will jump to about 40%, 45%. And if he starts quick, that price will not stay at 9.5. They will bump him to 10 as quick as they can. So time will tell. Next one I'm looking at here is Little Garnacho. 3.6 average points per match, 6.5 million in price tag. Currently is owned by 12. This will finish at about 1 in 4 players having him. 131 points, 7 bonus points, and 7 goals, 7 assists out of 30 starts. Garnacho definitely played better with some of the weaker teams or the more attacking teams that were more vulnerable to the counter-attacks. Like if he comes up against like a Wolves who are going to sit with the 3, maybe the 5 at the back. Is he going to be good as you think or hope him to be? Probably not. But I think he will get goals this season. He will get the assists. He'll be hungry to perform. He's after playing Copa America and all that, so he will be fairly leggy, I'd say, the first week or two this season. But if he gets going, if him and Haaland get going, United will be on for a decent little season. Fixture-wise, decent first 2. They obviously play the Liverpool. And then, the same as Dalot, easy enough, or not easy enough, but decent first next 3, Villa, and then they go into 6, that are fairly decent. So, 6.5 is just a cheap midfielder that can perform, can win free kicks, can whip the ball in, and can beat defenders essentially. So 6.5, there's a chance you will see him in my starting team. Moving on to the forwards, we're looking at Mr. Ollie Watkins, João Pedro, and Isaac. Now, Ollie Watkins, 1 and 2 players have him. Will that stay that high? Not a chance. He will not perform as well as he did. There's no chance. Douglas Luiz is gone, which does open up penalties. Does that mean Watkins get them, or does it go to John McGinn? I think it'll go to John McGinn. He is captain after all. But if it was to go to Watkins, this will jump. If it comes out he does not get penalties, it will drop. 19 goals, 18 assists from 37 starts is literally a goal contribution a game, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. 6.2 games where Foden was 6.3, and he is probably, I think it's just 0.5 cheaper. But look, it's phenomenal. Will he do as well as he did? I don't think he'll reach 19 and 18, but I think he'll score double figures and assist double figures, but not that high. I just don't think he'll get that high. Look, time will tell. Fixture-wise, West Ham first game, that's not too bad. Arsenal, it's a big game. It is, it really, really is, and Arsenal have a point to prove. They will need to start this season off very, very well, very, very quick. They will need to get those goals going if they want to fight against City for this league title this season. Their next 4 should be fairly decent for them, especially if he's in form. Next 2 with Man United will be tough enough. Fulham should be okay. Bournemouth will be okay. They then come into 4 games, which 3 of them will be fairly tough. But then again, it comes into a 3 cycle good, 2 cycle bad, 3 good, 1 bad, and then they have a decent little run of fixtures after that. 9 million, again, like Phil Foden, FPL will not wait. They will up his price as soon as they can after 2 weeks. If you get the goal in each, it will go to 9.1, 9.2. They'll creep that up as quick as they can. So you need to make a decision at the start of the season. Is he in or is he out? João Pedro was the next man. Started the season off quite well last season. But Brighton just didn't hit what we all expected them to hit standard-wise. They had a cracking season the season before and they got into Europa League. Last season, they just were not there. Is it because they were hoping to do well in Europa League? So the extra games and they were trying to rest the players and stuff. Honestly, I think that's what that will be. There is a chance they do well this season. Not many players played on internationals. They will have more rest than some of the top teams. And if they can get back to how they did play, I think they will have a cracking season. 9 goals, 3 assists from 19 starts. So if you add that, that's only 12 goal contributions in 19, which really isn't too bad. To be completely honest with you, really isn't actually terrible. Especially with how poor they performed. Fixture-wise, it's a tough start where the defensive team with Everton and then they play United and then Arsenal. But if you can get past, so maybe it might not be a starting player, 11 weeks get past them, you're on the run for 7 decent fixtures. Into the new year with Villa and then Arsenal, tough. But then again, you're into another 7 or 8 fixtures that are quite decent for them. So I don't think he'll be a starting player, but you will see him in my squad come, I want to say, the turn of the new year. And by then I'll know if he's performing, if he's on the penalties then as well. So look, time will tell. But I do think, especially for 5.5, it will be a bit of a steal if you can get him and if he performs. Next one, I think Isak is a must. Currently 1 and 2 people own him. 172 with 23 bonus. 5.7 points on average per match and at a price of £8.5 million. Basically, Newcastle have to prove something. They really do. Again, like Brighton, they didn't have the best season last season. With all the money and stuff that came in, they're hitting financial fair play and stuff. There's stuff happening behind the scenes that we obviously don't know about. So they have a point to prove. They have to come out fighting this season. I don't think there'll be signings, but they will have to come out fighting. If you look at his stats, 21 goals, 4 assists in 27 starts. Almost a goal contribution per start. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And the fixtures as well really are not terrible. A good first 5 fixtures, with it being Southampton, Bournemouth, Spurs, Wolves and Fulham. Tough game against City, but again, if they can catch City on the hop, Isak is there and he has it. He'll just knock the ball in past Ederson if he stays. He's quick, he'll do it, he'll be able to manage it. Will he beat a Kyle Walker race? No, but he can still score. Next 5 weeks aren't exactly fantastic, so to me, he is like a nailed on for the start of the season. Those first 5 fixtures, if he comes out scoring, if he comes out performing, you are living, laughing, and you are loving. So basically, this is just it's an average little team full of averagely decent players with 0.5 left over, which definitely will not actually happen. You're taking risk with Pep Roulette, with Guardiola and Doku, Jota to stay fit, Watkins almost kind of guaranteed to perform some sort of way, Isak the same, Garnacho, it's only 14 goal contributions in the season for an attacking winger, isn't exactly ideal, but if United show up this season, if they perform, you're on for a good little player for $6.5 million, and when that price rises, you'll be happy. Pedro Porro, I really don't think will last, but again, this is just a team to show you. That's what, 99.5 million, and you have some of the higher players who got points last season. Some of these scored some of the higher points. They're in the top 4s and 5s of each position, 6s even. And I just squeezed them onto a team. For the fixtures aren't terrible either. So it's just one team here now to keep a little lookout for. Let me know what you think in the comments. Any changes? Let me know what teams you're doing. This is just one team. I will be showing you a few more. Adding in the likes of Saka's and Palmer's and Salah's and De Bruyne's or whatever. I'll show you some more teams that we can work through. But look, let us know what else you want to see in the comments, and peace.